Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be another vlog for you today on this fine Saturday afternoon. We have F1 in town. It didn't go off without a hitch last week when it started Thursday. There was a pothole. I guess they flattened out Vegas Boulevard and all the way around Tropicana, make this big track down Koval, back up to, I believe, Sahara, and it's like this big track, right? And they flatten out the street, and what they were supposed to do is completely flatten it out so when the cars go over it, there's no discrepancies. And when they did the test run on Thursday night, one of the cars ran over a pothole and the sparks flew off and damaged the car. So they had to postpone the testing of the race until, I believe, 2 o'clock Saturday morning. But they ended up telling people to leave. People had tickets, they wanted to see the cars. It was just a mess. And yeah, that's what's going on in the city. Apparently, Las Vegas has that contract for 3 years. So we're going to be, I guess, hosting F1 for the next 3 years. From what I saw from the track, it is beautiful. But I'm hearing that it is a traffic nightmare for the people that work down there. The city was advising people who work on the strip to leave their houses 3 hours early so that they can take a shuttle to get to the hotels. Sounds like a fucking nightmare to me, and I'm glad I don't work down there. Okay. So yeah, I got a haul today. I actually got a couple things to show. I didn't do a lot of vlogs last week, but I did get a lot of action figures because that's what I mean. A lot of times I'll leave work and then I'll have, all this money in my pocket or tips, and I'll stop at Target or Walmart or whatever because it's like right over here in the neighborhood, and I'll, peruse the shelves to see what they got. And if they got something that I like, I'll just grab it. And so, yeah, and a lot of it don't make it on the shelf because I'm trying to keep everything condensed and not have like toys all over the place. But in my area, my little office here, I want toys. I want a lot of toys, but I just don't want them all over the house and shit. So a lot of the toys end up in the toy box. I have I bought me a little storage container that I have in a whole other closet that's full of toys and stuff. But my mother stopped by yesterday and hung out with me, and she brought me this Grogu. That's his name, I believe. This is Baby Yoda Grogu from The Mandalorian, and I guess she felt that she was like, I thought you would like it. She thought correctly. she thought right. I do. I love it, actually. Look at this. This is the cutest like freaking thing. It's like plushy right here. The head is hard. Look at him. I love the eyes. It is a really cool doll. Right now, I don't have any place to like really put him, so he's just sitting on my storage unit in the closet. But I really love this, and I thank my mother for bringing this and thinking of me when she saw this, because yeah, this is dope. But the other day when I went to Target, I ended up picking this bad boy up. Now, I've talked about Injustice, Superman when I did Brainiac with my Brainiac episode. And this is Injustice Superman from McFarlane Toys. As you can see, there's a lot of detail to this figure. He comes with an extra pair of hands. To me, this is one of the best Superman figures that McFarlane Toys has made. My problem with most Superman figures, including one of the Superman figures that I have, is that I don't like the face sculpts, like the way the faces look. But this one, he looks just like pretty much like he does in the game. And I actually really like this face sculpt for this Superman. But the regular Superman that they have, even the one that I believe came out, they have one that came out this month from the Hush storyline. And I hate the way his face looked because he looks emaciated. He looks like he's dying from kryptonite poisoning or whatever. All right. But what am I going to talk about in today's vlog? Well, besides, work being fine, work was cool. I got there at 9 o'clock this morning. I opened the store, did what I did, had a few tables. All my tables were sweethearts. They all looked out for me. It wasn't that busy this morning or during lunch, but for whatever reasons, the hosts love feeding me tables. So I'm cool. I was cool. But the problem with that is it makes the other servers mad when they do that. When, like, for instance, today, before anybody else got set a table, I had 2 tables, before any of the other servers. It was 4 servers on staff. And when they set the second table wanted to sit in my section so they could look out of the window to their car, because I guess their dog was in the car, whatever. So that was 2 tables I had just right off the rip, and both of those first 2 tables tipped really good, and they were very low maintenance. It wasn't having me run back and forth, all that other stuff. It was really, really good. And then when I thought I was gonna go home, I guess the restaurant started getting busy, so they asked me to stay a little bit longer. But I'm like, yeah, why not? And so they ended up seating me some more people. Those people tipped really good, even though one of the tables was really confused about what the fuck they were trying to do. But they were extremely nice and extremely generous. And I don't know, I like days like this because it seemed like I did very minimum work for a lot more money, if that makes sense. It seemed like I was only there for, I think, 3 hours, and besides what I made in the morning for being an opener, because you get a different rate for being an opener as opposed to being a server. Servers in the United States of America and most states don't make shit. Just gonna go ahead and tell you, unless there's gratuity coming, you don't make anything. So if your tables are generous, and a lot of times my tables are generous, you walk out of there, like today, for instance, I ended up walking out of there with $90, okay, for 3 hours of work. So that's about, I look at that as like, oh, it's $30 an hour for, I'm talking about while being on the clock as a server. Now in the morning, there's an hourly wage, but to me, that's not that much anyway. But that's my life. If I work down on the strip, what I heard down on the strip yesterday because of the F1, because everybody that's here for this F1 race thing, they're high rollers. These are ballers. These are people with money, because these tickets and some of the hotel rates when they book those hotels were astronomical. So for the people that are in town, they have money to blow. And if you work at a restaurant down on the strip, it ain't locals down there, right? It's already inconvenient getting down there on a regular Friday or Saturday and just moving about. So with all this F1 stuff, it's even worse. So for the servers and cooks and the people that are working down on the strip today, they made out like a bandit yesterday. What we heard is that at the minimum, servers were leaving their shifts with $600 in tips. You understand what I'm saying? $600 in tips, because these are high rollers. And it's the truth. Whenever you get rich people or whenever you get wealthy people, it doesn't really matter how much food they buy. They're really going off of your service, and they would leave you a lot of money. It's happened to me multiple times where it's just like, damn, this person only ordered this, but yet they paid me more than their bill was. But you could like literally tell these people got money. Sometimes there'll be people come in, they sitting at the table, they just on a business meeting or a business call, or they on their laptop working, and if you're attentive to those people look after you. And I appreciate that. But I do feel like the tip economy is a trash one, because there are nights where people don't leave with anything, because it's a luck of the draw who they gonna sit you with, whatever. I made a video on here. The last video I put up on here, it wasn't a vlog. I was talking about the state of hip hop. I believe that video on my channel on YouTube, it got 6 views, okay? It got 6 views. That same video on TikTok is approaching 170,000 views. Do y'all understand why YouTube irritates me? Because YouTube doesn't have an algorithm that pushes it toward, you will sit up there and you will make content and you will feel that, going off of YouTube, you'll feel that people don't want to have a conversation about the content that you're presenting. Besides, I'm not talking about people that subscribe or people that engage with me all the time that I really appreciate, that's always here. But I'm saying in general, where you're trying to open up this greater conversation here on this platform, YouTube, it just don't hit the same. You get what I'm saying? Whereas that same video I put up on here, say I put it up at the same time, on TikTok right now is at 170,000 views. And what that video is about is how I personally feel hip hop is demonic, right? Hip hop, the state of hip hop currently, and not just currently, it's been like this since the 90s. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm going to, here's story time, okay? When I was younger, after my parents divorced, we moved from Indiana to Wisconsin, and we lived in the hood. We just did, right? My mom dealt with some unscrupulous fucking asshole character that put us through a lot of trauma. Let's just put it like that, right? And but one of the things that I saw, that besides, the north side of Milwaukee, which was a fucking, in my opinion, cesspool, because that's not necessarily how I grew up. Even though Gary was, not necessarily the beacon of economic success, my parents maintained a comfortable middle class lifestyle for me and my brother, right? So when we came out of that, by the time I was 10 or whatever, and we lived in Milwaukee, and I started to see, living around like all these, black people who were economically disenfranchised for whatever reason, right? And how we treated each other, I just didn't like it, right? It was the first time I started to experience where kids would make fun of other kids for wearing Payless shoes. Now, this is a phenomenon that only happens with black kids, right? I'm not saying that at other schools they don't make fun of kids for not dressing up to par, not being clean or whatever, but for the name brands, that was the first time I ever lived, because kids would literally come up to you. If you were wearing Payless shoes, they'll literally come up to you, they'll check your shoes to see if you had on the hottest and latest. It's like this whole materialism thing that our people had adopted that was new to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, you gotta have on the fresh Nikes, you gotta have on the fresh kicks. But it was also hip hop. Hip hop culture was, in my opinion, it seems like the kids, because remember I was in elementary school, the kids were trying to mimic what they were hearing on the radio, right? The way their dialect, the way they were speaking. People didn't speak like this before. You understand? They were mimicking something that wasn't necessarily always around them. Yes, they were in, like I said, we were in the neighborhoods that we lived in were trash ass neighborhoods, but it seemed like, as opposed to hip hop and rap being like an allegory for what's going on, or the soundtrack is just, it's telling a story, it seemed like it was influencing. Just from my young mind, I saw that, right? And then as I got older, as you came up into school, especially with black men and black boys, how do I put this? We often equated ourselves and our value to the things that we possess, and a lot of the things that we coveted were based on hip hop trends. Does that make sense? So for instance, if you're pushing FUBU, everybody wants to wear FUBU. If you're pushing Nike, or if you're pushing Blackberries, or whatever hip hop is pushing at the time, the consumerist mentality of black people, and especially young black people, is to go for that because those are the icons that we look to. Unfortunately, those being the icons that we look to from a young age, even if you necessarily wasn't trying to mimic those people outright, subconsciously, that's what our culture had adopted. Oh, I gotta have the freshest this. I gotta, you could see the trends throughout. You could see the trends follow hip hop throughout time. If a hip hop song is talking about popping Molly, all of a sudden all the young people are popping Molly. They don't even know what the fuck a Molly is. But since the hip hop song is saying it's Molly, everybody's popping Molly's now. I remember when ecstasy popped up, we were all taking ecstasy. Where the fuck did we get the idea to start taking ecstasy from? From the soundtrack. Where would we had known what ecstasy was, or how to get it, or what the fuck it was? You see what I'm saying? It was almost like to guide you in that. Same thing with a lot of people that adapted the game culture that came from middle class households. Maybe they did fall on certain economic trying times when they were younger, but they adopted this culture because the culture was telling them that the only way to make it out of this is to sell drugs. Do this. This is what manhood is. If you want to bring money into your house and you don't want to work at McDonald's, you want to go over there and slang some rock. This is the soundtrack. And what I was saying about those rappers who actually curated that soundtrack, those people didn't come from that lifestyle as we know now. Those people were fraudulent. A person like, even Tupac, who was the hardest core rapper when I was growing up in the 90s and stuff, he went to fucking art school. He was a privileged kid. You understand what I'm saying? But the imagery and the vibes from the music that he was pushing wasn't that of, oh, I am artistically inclined to say this message because this is what I'm witnessing from this part of the fence. You can get to this part of the fence too with this and that. No, it's just like, y'all are fucked. This is fucked. I'm gonna be a gangster. I'm gonna do this, even though that's not where he came from, ultimately ending in his demise. And yet so many black men followed that, right? And followed that trend just in our heads, right? And then we devalue ourselves if we don't aspire to be Puff Daddy. But then we live in this time, this age of Aquarius, where all the truth will come out, and we see that money ain't the end all be all. This doesn't make these people virtuous people. When you see a person like Puff Daddy and what he's been a part of, people like myself could have always known that people like that are unscrupulous, and just because they have money don't mean that they should be worshipped or looked at or revered or anything like that. But yet we do, and that's why we're in the position that we are. Hip hop is poison. It is poison for black people, and it was designed to be poison for black people. Go back to the 70s, 80s, and just listen to our music. Listen to the vibration of our music. It wasn't this. The music that they push now is almost like it's a machine that makes it. It produces it. It picks the people it wants to fucking push the message, puts them right where they need to be, pushes out this demonic message, and then you will have 6-year-olds, like in the video I made on TikTok and on here, where the little girls are singing Pound Town. You have that. You have them subconsciously regurgitating that type of shit. First, it was the gang culture that had so many black men fucked up, right? Then it's clout chasing bullshit, drug culture, popping mollies, you know, the mid 2010s of just being a druggie for no fucking reason. And then there's now where it's like, okay, let's just be as promiscuous as humanly possible and not worry about the consequences of our actions. We could just blame it on something else. That's where we are, and that's where hip hop has been for decades now. And I've witnessed it with my own eyes. It's demonic. It's demonic. And I'm not saying that there can't be, there's not good hip hop out there, and that I don't even enjoy the music. I enjoy a lot of hip hop. That's my number one genre of music, right? But at the same time, I understand what that shit is. It's like taking drinks, like drinking, right? It's not good for you. You want to put yourself in good vibrations, you listen to good vibration music. But our people, Andre 3000 is put out a flute album yesterday, right? And people tried to make fun of him for putting out this flute album. But the reason he's putting out that flute album is because that's what he's feeling. He's an artist. It don't always have to be about 808s and beats and I've seen so many skits of people saying, you know, you hearing the flute and everything, and people acting like they got a beat behind it. Fuck all that. Just enjoy the music for what it is and what he's trying to give you. We're more than just a few beats and some bars and a rhyme scheme. You understand what I'm saying? We've created many genres of music because we wasn't locked into this hip hop culture, whereas hip hop culture, in my opinion, like I said, and I'll say it again, time and time again, is fucking demonic. Otherwise, so many people, artists, moguls, all this shit, they wouldn't be in the positions that they are, either dead, close to being indicted, being sued for rape, extortion, all this stuff, you know, just crazy shit that goes on in this industry. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this Saturday video. I hope you like my little haul I got here. Sorry I didn't open it, but I just felt like I wanted to discuss that and just talk about how freaking YouTube don't like to push real conversations. They don't. They just don't. So it is what it is. But I will continue to post content on here because I enjoy this long form discussion. I enjoy letting my thoughts out like this to whoever's listening. You know what I'm saying? Even if it just sits here in the ether for as long as it may be, I really like putting up videos here on YouTube, even though YouTube, it don't favor me at all. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.